was a warm welcome from Newcastle's District Commander as the Premier arrived to meet with Toronto Police.
I want to lift the morale of policemen and policewomen and say they're doing a good job, and the day in, day out job of policing is the other side of the coin. It's the other side of what you hear out of the Police Royal Commission.
The Premier believes that while police reforms must be pursued, honest police need to be told that the community values their work.
Certainly the police present today appreciated the visit by the Premier and the indication by the Premier that the government is behind the police service.
During campaigning for last year's state election, Bob Carr said hunter policing was in crisis and there were too few police to provide a rapid response to crime. In the last year, 27 extra police have been appointed to the Hunter. Local member Jeff Hunter says Toronto and Morisset have been given a priority for more police.
Our first budget increased police numbers. We're going to go on increasing police numbers, delivering our promise of over 600 additional police by the end of our first term. And this region will get its share.
Jane Anderson, NBN News.
Concerns over the effect of BHP on the health of the community have been an ongoing issue. Prompted by these concerns, the EPA stepped in and called for an extensive study into the air quality. The two major areas under scrutiny were substances with the potential to cause cancer and fine dust associated with respiratory ailments. The newly released results show BHP in a favourable light.
They show that the additional risks to the community caused by our operations are not unacceptable, and they are in an area where we need to continue our improvement program, and that's what we've been doing.
Under recommendations from the Environmental Protection Authority, moves will be made to further reduce emissions. The study cost BHP $800,000. There are concerns such environmental investigations could force companies out of business because it would no longer be economically viable to operate. But the EPA says it is just doing its job.
We also have a very significant concern to protect the health of the community of New South Wales. And that's always a balancing act with sometimes competing tensions, and we need to work through those processes.
Amanda Bolger, NBN News. The centre's major retailers, including Woolworths and Target, are yet to be granted permission by the Department of Industrial Relations to trade on Sundays. The Small Business People retail group hopes this temporary situation will stay that way.
The Minister hadn't given consent and will be lobbying very hard to prevent it.
According to Mr Poole, small businesses are becoming a thing of the past because shoppers are choosing big retailers.
We're seeing people being pushed out of business at an ever-increasing rate.
However, a spokesman for management at Supercentre says while the delay in obtaining Sunday trading rights for large retailers is disappointing, it won't be for long, with licences expected to be granted within the next few weeks.
The whacker was as hard as a rock. The rugby league season starting just a week after Western Australia played its last Shield game at home. And it wasn't much of a break for the scoreboard either. Andrew Johns kicking the Knights to an early lead. The Western Reds went wide to open its account. Hodge left in no man's land. Another penalty had the Knights even, until a former Novocastrian left his calling card next to the posts to give the Reds a 10-4 lead at the break. Grogan juggled a speculator to put Albert over in the corner. The golden slipper of Johns making every post a winner, his third out of a perfect 5 on the night, tying it up at 10 apiece. O'Neill broke the deadlock, the bomb going off in the face of O'Davis. The Knights needed some magic. Grogan pulled the rabbit out of the hat. Craigie performed the encore. At 16-all with a minute to go, Cyclone Tracy swept through Perth to leave the Reds grasping at air and the Knights thanking the heavens for a great escape. Richard O'Leary, NBN News.
It was a terrifying ordeal for the 14-year-old who was working at his father's general store at Curry about 8:20 last night. Two bandits wearing balaclavas held up Bickman's store. One held a sawn-off .22 rifle at the child's head, demanding money. Before leaving, the same thief pointed his gun at a male customer, taking $25 from his wallet. The two thieves fled on foot. Police believe the armed robbery here last night was carried out by the same men who held up the Gold Sing restaurant in Curry last Tuesday. Again, the target of the hold-up was a child. This time, the restaurant owner's 10-year-old son was threatened at gunpoint and forced to open the till. Both men are believed to be between 20 and 25, of thin build and medium to tall in height.
So there's only a slight variation between the two incidents, together with the similar type black stretch balaclavas they were wearing, and on each occasion they were armed with a similar type firearm.
Police are warning shopkeepers to tighten security.
If it's possible to have two persons in the premises at all times, keep your back doors closed and locked.
Anyone who may have seen the men have been asked to contact police. Jane Anderson, NBN News.
There was plenty of feeling between the traditional rivals as they played for an extension to their rep season, with the loser out of the country championships. The black and gold Northerners posted first points courtesy of a Scott Pennell goal. But Newcastle was lethal in attack, Michael Reid splitting the Northerners to score the first try. It was like an instant replay minutes later when Northern's defence collapsed under another Reid raid. Northern search for answers wide, Ray Hubbard crossing in the corner to reduce the margin to 6. Newcastle's hooker Tony Hutton attracted plenty of attention. He was penalised for a dangerous tackle before redeeming himself with a dogged run to the line. Northern's defence refused to close in on the rake, Hutton stretching for his second. Reid's hat-trick on the half-time bell stretched the lead to 32-4. Newcastle was just as unforgiving in the second, winning 68-6 and the right to play Northern Rivers in the semi-finals. Chasing 298 for victory, Wallsend was struggling with the loss of 3 early wickets before Greg Geese and English import Alex Swan took control. Their 4th wicket stand of 154, including an unbeaten 113 by Geese and 86 by Swan, ensured victory with 10 overs to spare. It's Wallsend's first title since 1972-73 and the club's 6th overall. 19-year-old Scott Jenkins stole the show in the opening heat of the Newcastle Motordrome Speedcar Classic, the teenager breaking the track record. Drivers pushed it too hard in the next heat, Michael Pace becoming airborne but landing safely back to earth. Remarkably, John Church also walked away despite an aerobatic show of his own. Jason Gates remained calm despite the storm of crashes behind him to take the race. The Super Sedan was again a one-man show, frontrunner John Pine winning the second last round of the series.
This is the man police are searching for. They've compiled this identikit photo through homeowners who've actually disturbed the man as he's committing the robbery. In the last 3 weeks, he's struck 8 times, and all the incidents have been in a new housing area of Rutherford. Today, police were canvassing residents in the hope someone might recognise him. Police believe the man picks houses where he knows someone is at home but is otherwise occupied. He either walks in the back door or climbs through a window and then rifles through rooms searching for money and other small valuables.
It's quite brazen the way he's carrying it out. I mean, where people are at home.
Yes, it is indeed, and it does cause us some concern.
Now, anyone with information should contact Maitland detectives.
Kooragang Island, just opposite the BHP, is usually associated with industry, but on Easter Sunday it will be taking on a new look and sound. It's round one of the State Motocross Championships, 150 riders pushing through the sandy and swampy course. As the first major round of competition for the year, the competitors are hungry for some action.
You just want to keep smooth from the start and try and be just as fast at the end. You don't want to kind of go fast at the start and then go slow at the end. You want to just stay on the whole pace the whole race, and hopefully they all wear out and you don't.
Newcastle's Craig Anderson, at just 18, already has 8 national titles, and he's keen to grab this year's state glory. It won't be easy with competition like WA's Jeff Leask, a former Mr Motocross. Leask also placed second in the world in 1989. Peter Ryan, NBN News.
The Australian Reptile Park has long been a feature on the Central Coast, first opening its doors at Wyoming in 1958. Since then, the business has thrived, offering many interactive displays and information on Australia's wildlife and playing a major role in research and education. Now, the need to upgrade the existing buildings and a desire to establish in a more natural bush setting has prompted the park's owners to relocate. The new Summersby site, adjacent to Old Sydney Town, will include several additional features, including a large adventure playground for children. It should be completed by the end of June. The park will meanwhile continue operating at Wyoming until the end of May. Emma Ossian, NBN News.
Scrawled on the walls of what now seem like very inhumane old lockups, criminals left their marks, initials in old paint, desperate scratches clawed into coverings. Jailers kept careful records too, and Newcastle University's Professor John Ramsland has just completed 3 years hard labour, wading through the mountains of paper chronicling corrective services. The results soon to be published in his book titled With Just But Relentless Discipline. Professor Ramsland believes the prison system is changing for the better, and he is strongly opposed to issues such as capital punishment.
There's a woman executed in the 1870s who was pregnant when she went into prison. She bore the child and was breastfeeding the child at the time that she was executed. She was executed for a crime of passion, of killing a husband who had been brutal towards her, so it was a very tragic incident, but she actually breastfed the child moments before the execution took place.
Professor Ramsland believes Australia's prison system is preferable to a move towards automated high-tech jails in the United States, where inmates are kept in cells with no human contact.
In Australia and in New South Wales in particular, we've moved towards that model at all. There's still a great emphasis on rehabilitation and the hope of rehabilitation. Now, while people have to be protected from dangerous people, we should have a humane system within prisons.
The Newcastle Knights first grade side took a training run this afternoon preparing for Monday's match against St George in Sydney, as club officials worked behind the scenes for a couple of windfall signings. Robbie McCormack won't get a run this weekend but should make the reserve bench for the next round. Brad Godden has also signed on from the Mariners, along with Keith Beecham, Jason Marshall and Gavin Thompson. Mark Sargent, though, looks like getting a run with Canterbury. Knights lock Mark Glanville is back in the pack after being cleared of a head-high tackle charge on the Western Reds' Chris Ryan last weekend. Andrew Johns was on the sidelines at training with a sore back, while his teammates prepared to take on the charges of their former coach, David Waite.
Falcons led throughout last night's trial against the old foe. A hat-trick of 3-pointers from Hayes and McLean just before half-time, giving the home side a 61-51 advantage. The intensity continued in the second term, Ninnis and Van Dyke combining for one of the plays of the night. New Sydney import Isaac Burton hit a match-high 32 and did his best to keep the Kings in touch, as did Boomers guard Shane Hill, who tangled with Lachlan Armfield, the skirmish inspiring the Falcons recruit. Newcastle had a closed-door match with Illawarra at Terrigal this afternoon, with the coach delighted with the team's morale-boosting win against the Kings.
But it was a real team win, and it was one that we should be able to use now to step up and really get ourselves ready for Geelong on the 13th.
Buoyed by their record-breaking win last week against Penrith, the Wildfires went through their final training session for the semi last night. They take on an unknown quantity in Melbourne, which surprised with a comprehensive victory over Southern Districts to qualify. But Newcastle welcomes back a familiar face for the interstate clash. Popular hooker David Cook has been recalled to the top grade due to injury.
A few of us have been keeping an eye on him and egging him on to keep going because he's find it hard to make first grade this year, but yeah, it's great to have him back.
After a promising start to rugby's new professional era, the Wildfires have a chance to claim the club's first paycheck from on-field activities, a thought which hasn't been lost on the players.
Yeah, it'd be nice. The first bit of money coming in the club for maybe a bit of the percentage will come to the boys with a bit of luck, so we'll have to ask the board about that one.
The rivalry between backs and forwards on a football field is well documented. But as you can imagine, this intensifies somewhat when a talented, fleet-footed three-quarter shares the exact same name as an experienced but try-shy forward. Meet Mick Reid, and now meet his Newcastle teammate, Mick Reid. One of these, Mick Reid, scored 5 tries on debut against Northern Division last week, but the other is keen to take all the credit.
What's it like having two Mick Reids in the team?
Mate,
It's not too bad, mate. I've scored 5 tries.
See Mick Reed's in the team, yeah, it's a bit funny. It's Higo will say, Mick Reed, you're captain today, you know. It's all like, it's the big fella, not me. So, yeah, no, he goes well.
But I believe during the week he was trying to claim that he scored the 5 tries.
Yeah, I've heard that too, yeah, but it definitely wasn't him.
Either way, both will need to be at their best if Newcastle is to beat Northern Rivers tomorrow night.
Well, from what we've heard, we've got a lot of blokes from the Seagulls have come back to Northern Rivers, so they'll be much stronger than what we've played on the weekend. So, yeah, we're expecting a much tougher games.
If they win that match, they'll confront the winner of tomorrow's other encounter between North Coast and the Central Coast, the latter tipped to progress.
Mate, we hope so. We're all positive, and we hope we get through to Sunday, but if we do, it'll be a good grudge match.
NBN will replay the final at 10:30 on Sunday night.
More than 200 of them poured into Belmont Bay for day one of the combined high school sailing championships. With a 20 to 30 kilometre an hour breeze, conditions for today's invitational race were very pleasant. Although this race doesn't count towards the championship, it's an ideal way for those who haven't competed at national level before to gain some experience.
The rest of the week there will be a heat sailed each day until Saturday, and those 4 heats will count towards the CHS, the New South Wales Secondary Schools and the Australian Schools Sailing Championships.
From just one division attracting 100 boats back in 1967, the CHS Championship has come a long way. 30 years on, organisers are thrilled with the turnout.
This is our best for probably 5 or 6 years, and we know that there are more entries arriving for tomorrow. So it's really great. It's probably another 20 or 30 boats more than last year.
School-age sailors have for years set their sights on the championship, some laying a course to competitive sailing careers.
This is the really big day. This is the championships, and it would be the epitome of school sailing.
Sarah Griffiths, NBN News.
Sean Dennis is just 4 games shy of 200 in the NBL. This season he will try to balance the assistant coach's job with playing, but this weekend could sacrifice himself in the 10-man squad. The Falcons are blessed with several talented guards and may need backup elsewhere.
Inside, if we get in foul trouble with 1 or 2 of our big men, we really need that backup. And Matt Lowe has been doing a great job, really stepped up and is performing better than what we had expected at this time.
It could be a sign of things to come, with Newcastle likely to go with an 11-man rotation rather than 10 throughout the season. Tony Blythe and Michael Kuback will drop back to play with the Hunters this weekend, while Wisman also has to pick his starting 5. At this stage, it's likely to be Hayes, Van Dyke, McGregor, Ninnis and Reese, with a question mark over the latter's fitness due to a recent illness.
He was feeling a bit weak, but he's starting to feel good now and strong, and we've got this week to make those decisions.
There's definitely no standing on this part of the beach. These much maligned surfers are on their knees for their sport.
It's really easy to get barreled on your knees. Like, you can take off just under the lip pretty much, and it's good. You can go fast, do good cutties and moves and that. Yeah, it's good.
No guessing that Ryan Wilson is a Kiwi, warming up today at Catherine Hill Bay for the tag team event of the World Titles at Shelley Beach on the Central Coast this weekend. Ryan was runner-up in the World Juniors in Wollongong over Easter. Kneeboarders were once considered to be surfing's big joke, unable to get up on their feet. But of late, kneeboarders have been enjoying a rest from the constant jibes of the stand-up surfers. There's a new breed of surfer out in the water, taking all the heat.
I think it's been quite good with the event of the boogie boarders coming out.
The Kiwi kneeboarders team has only been running pro events for 4 years. The World Titles in Australia is their chance to get their breed of surfing onto a better standing.
Got to start coming up with results and putting kneeboarding in New Zealand on the map, and competitions like these will do that for us.
Peter Ryan, NBN News.